Fam First Friday on a Friday night, and I'm going to get right into my topic on tonight. And my topic for tonight is what divides parents and kids. One of the big things that usually gives a divide between parents and kids is separations of the parents, meaning when a divorce happens, or when one of the parents decides to actually leave the other parent, or for whatever reason the parents can't seem to actually get along, so then one parent is left to raise the kid or kids on their own. So this usually always will create a divide between kids and their parents. For one, the one parent that actually left, the kid is always going to wonder and think, well, why did they actually leave? Did they not love me? Do they not like me? Is there something about me that they don't actually like, or they can't stand being around me? And then they may wonder, well, why couldn't the parent that actually left love the other parent? Did he ever love the other parent, or what was the issue why they actually left? So whenever you have a single parent home, this usually makes a way for you and your kids to be a little bit divided. And the reason being is because it creates time where you can't actually be there for them at all times, because as a single parent you have to work a job or work a business or do whatever it is you may do to actually make money to put food on the table and put a roof over their head. Now, in the actual in doing these things, this will cause you to not actually be able to be there for them when they have an after school program, when they have a game or some type of concert or something just going on where parents are usually at and are usually there. You usually won't be able to actually be there because you have to actually do what it is that you have to do to make ends meet. And so when kids get this, sometimes this will create more space for them to get into other things that aren't like how you raised them to be or what you actually want them to get into. So this is where you'll definitely see where some kids will turn to drugs, some may turn into gangs, some may turn into listening to things that you don't actually like or that you wouldn't want them to get into, or it may lead them to getting into some sexual behaviors that you don't prefer them to get into, or even them having a kid early when you don't actually want them to actually have one. So these are some things that definitely happens and creates a divide in families, is when there's a single parent home and there's not enough time to actually spend with the actual kids that you have to nurture them in the right way. Another thing that definitely will divide homes is technology. I was mentioning earlier that you can have if you have a two-parent home, this can definitely help you out as far as time management and being there for your actual kids, so that when one parent is actually working, the other one is there for all the extra activities, after school programs and other games and things like that. And then definitely if you're in a two-parent home, you guys can work together so that if you both are working, then one, when they're off, they can actually be there and the other one can work, and vice versa. But a big thing that still creeps in even if you're in a two-parent home is technology. The reason why I mention technology, first and foremost, before we get into any electronical stuff, you could think about the homes or apartments that you actually live in. In most cases, you have extra rooms. So you have a family, you usually have a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and for those of you guys that have a lot of money, maybe 5, 6, and 7, 8 bedrooms. So what does all that create? It creates space. And when you have space in your house, this gives your kids the opportunity to actually do other things in their rooms behind your actual back. So you're in your room and you're actually relaxing and you are doing whatever it is that you do, then they're in their room and they're doing their own thing as well. And this is where technology and other things can start to sink in to them. So while you're in your room watching TV, they're in their room watching TV and watching things that disagree with how you actually raised them. Or they're on the internet, and while they're on the internet, they're looking at things that go against how you actually raised them. Then also too, if they have a cell phone. Now their cell phone, in this day and time, they can look up almost any and everything that they can possibly think of. By them actually having a cell phone, this gives them access to things that go against how you actually raise them or how you want them to actually be. And so then this is when you often will see that issue that all parents usually mostly face, is where your kid wants to do one thing and you want them to do something else. They don't want to listen to you or what you actually tell them to do or how you actually want them to be, because something else has slipped into their mind and their thought process, and now there's not much that you can actually do to actually change it. And then of course, because you don't want them to actually be sleeping in your room and be up under you all day, you have to have them be in their own personal space. And then while they're in their own personal space, this is where these things will start to actually creep in on them. So this creates a divide in parents and their kids, because they have to actually deal with technology actually getting into them and speaking to them. Now, one of the things you can actually make sure you do is make sure that you definitely take the time to actually get your kids to come up out of their rooms, to come up off of the computer, to come up off of the cell phone and other things, and actually take some time to actually spend some time with them and do something that you guys can do together. This will definitely help you to get them out of those mind frames and those thought patterns. Then also too, sometimes you're going to have some tough conversations with them about some of the stuff that they're looking at and listening to, and pay close attention to what it is that they're actually looking at and what they're getting into. But you also should definitely take away some of these things from them, so that they don't get too indoctrinated in these devices, where once they grow up, they don't want to listen to anything you have to say and anything you try to tell them to do. Lastly, a thing that most people wouldn't think causes a big issue, but it does as well, is your money. Whether you have a whole lot of money or even if you're on a low income. I was mentioning earlier that if you live in a home and you have a few rooms, this could cause some issues. Well, if you didn't have a whole lot of money, then basically you guys would have to maybe stay in a studio or something like that. So you guys will have to see each other, so you see all the things that are actually happening with your actual kids, so you know what's going on. They can't hide anything from you. Now, on the bad end, if you have a low income, then that means there's not a whole lot you can actually do with your kids. So that means your kids sometimes will start to admire other families that are able to do more. They're able to go to nice expensive places. They're able to go out, go on vacations, and do all these other things. So then sometimes it will be one of those things where your kid feels like, why aren't we able to keep up with the Joneses? Why do my clothes not look as good as everybody else's? And then this will actually cause a divide between you and your kids, because they feel like, they get teased and made fun of because you weren't a good enough parent to actually provide the necessary things that they actually need. Now, too, also on the flip end, with having a whole lot of money, as I was mentioning earlier, then this causes your kids to have so many different gadgets and devices that they basically start to not need your attention as much or need your approval, or they don't necessarily want to be around you because there's so much more funner things that they can do with their gadgets. If they have a video game, this is much funner to them than them actually maybe sitting around with you playing a board game. If they have their own TV, this is more beneficial for them so that they don't have to actually sit up and watch a TV show with you that they don't like, that they don't think is funny, or for whatever reason they don't actually like it. So they could go in their room, turn on what they want to watch, or then even listen to the same music you listen to. They can do other things outside of you. So money definitely can affect you on both sides of the spectrum. So whether or not you're not making a whole lot of money or you're making a whole lot of money. But regardless of how much money you're actually making, you should definitely work on managing your time that you can actually spend with your kids. Even if it's not as long as you actually want to spend with them, if it's only a few minutes of you talking to them before they actually go to sleep, if it's you doing something together, washing the dishes, or cleaning the house together, or you just being there, sitting down with them, eating at the table with them, or even bringing them out from their room and playing a board game with them to see their reactions, to see their faces, to maybe smile and laugh with them. These are things that you should actually put into practice with actually doing with your kids, because when they grow older, whether or not you weren't able to do as much as you wanted to do with them and get them everything they wanted to do, they will remember those memories of the stuff that you actually did with them, the laughs that you guys actually had. And then if you do have a whole lot of money and you're able to do things with them, you should do so. So maybe taking family trips and going somewhere with them so that they can remember this trip that you guys actually went on. Taking pictures and photos with them, even when they don't want to take them, so that when they do get older, you can look back at that and say, hey, remember when we went there? And like I said, those memories will definitely come back to them. And then also too, for some of you guys who may be in a situation where you're in a single parent home and for whatever reason you're not with your kids, make sure that you do something so that they know that even though you're not actually with them, that you still actually care about them. If the mama is tripping or the dad's tripping and they don't want you to be by your kids, you can always do videos and send videos to them. You can always write letters and send letters to them, but do something to let them know that their mom or their dad that's not actually around still loves them. And when they grow older, they will remember these things and they will want to spend time with you. Okay, and lastly, some top sports things I'll be watching over this weekend. The Pro Bowl is going to be flag football, but as far as picking, I'm going to go with the AFC to win that. Then in the NBA, on Saturday, the Lakers, this is supposed to be on ABC, I believe, the Lakers and the Knicks. I'm going to go with the Lakers if LeBron James plays. It's kind of strange because in the NBA now, you got to actually look at the injury list to see who's playing and who's not actually playing. So I'm going with the Lakers over the Knicks. And then the same kind of thing with Memphis. I'm picking Memphis to actually win over Milwaukee, but that is if Ja Morant does actually play in this game. Then lastly, I'm going to go with Boston over the 76ers. All these, those last two games should be on Sunday night, but they also will be on ESPN. Yeah, with Boston, I'm going to go with them over the 76ers because it looks like almost everybody from the 76ers may be actually out for this game. Now, another thing I'll try to check out is also too is the Royal Rumble, and the big things that most people want to watch is to see who's going to win the actual Royal Rumble matches. So my predictions of who's going to actually win with the men, I'm going to go with CM Punk. and maybe possibly Steph Rollins. That would be my other one. Now for the women, it's a little bit. I'm going to say Charlotte Flair, but being that she's coming back after being out so long, I'm not really sure. So my kind of dark horse in this, because with a lot of this is about storylines. So I'm going to say Naomi wins by betraying Bianca Belair and throwing her out, or doing something that causes her to actually lose, and that she actually wins the match. So those are my predictions. But anyways, as always, families are like branches. We grow apart, but together we stand out.